So for this particular card, what I did was I took a 8.5 by 5.5 piece of paper. Otherwise, if you have regular blank cards lying around, you can certainly use them. But what I did was I took 8.5 by 5.5 piece of paper. I folded it in half so you can take out your scoring blade or just fold it in half. I find the scoring blade gets it to be a little bit more exact. So that's why I tend, and because I have it, I use it. So I have, so you're going to do put it in the long way. You're going to put it at 4 1/4 and score it. And then it's going to fold really nice right down the center and you have your perfect card. I always try to remember to put my straight blade back because when I want it, it's never in there. Okay, so you have your folded card, perfect, ready to go card. What I did was I opened my card up, and we're making this one right now. And this one has this, see, the shape of it is very different than a normal card. What I did was I opened up the card, and on one side, I cut off 3 inches. So I put it at the 3-inch mark on my trimmer and cut that off. So now I have my card. It will fold closed and it has this little stubby side for the front and then the back of the card. So what I'm going to do is turn this sideways and I'm going to adhere this on to that little stubby part. So it looks like this. I'm putting it right into the where the fold is. And that's going to be the front of my card. And what I would do is when I close it up, I would just cut off the extra where the edge of the card is so that it'll fit in the envelope okay. So I have this piece. I'm going to start by, I want to decorate it with some papers. And let me move this. The idea was that I'm going to use some of my mats from this collection because that's what we had to use for our cards. So I did these two. Here is another couple of cards that I did, and I just cut up some mats to make them. You can certainly, for this one, you can certainly take one of these. Some of these mats have a beautiful saying on one side and on the other are two things, sort of like Hello Fall. So we're going to take Hello Fall, and that could be my front of the card. So all I have to do is put this in my trimmer and cut in half. Now, when you're using your trimmer, don't forget you have these little plastic whisker lines. If you put you can use your thumbnail or your fingernail and just pull it out. They're underneath this blue end on both sides of your trimmer. So there's one, and then there's one on the other side. Just take your fingernail and pull out that little plastic piece that goes, you can see it. It's a little plastic piece that moves back and forth. You can attach it, push it right into your blade housing, and that little piece of plastic will stay on there until you hit the end. And then when you pull your blade back out, it'll stay under there. They kind of stay out of the way, but pull those out. And the reason you pull them out is you can see it here. See, there's a little black line in the center of that moving plastic piece. That tells you exactly where your blade's going to cut. So after a while, when you're cutting on that mat strip, you can't see the line where you're cutting, that dotted line, because it starts wearing away as you get deeper and deeper into that mat. But these little whisker lines on that plastic will show you exactly where you're going to cut. So if I want to move this over, I put the card right up against the back paper wall here and just move this whisker line. I call it the whisker line because it looks like a little cat whisker back and forth, and make sure that that line is exactly on the edge of that brown box so that I am cutting right where I want to cut as I go down. And I'll tell you, oh, wait, it's tilted in one spot or it's perfect. And then once you think it's perfect, you just cut along the edge. So I find it's really great. Perfect. Really great for cutting things right in half. So for this particular card, all I did was cut one of my mats in half. I had that cute saying, and I just put it on there tilted. I would definitely put it on with some paper in the background. So what I would do is the yellow paper we weren't using for any other page. So I'll take a piece of the yellow and I will cut it out so that there's a little bit of white edge around the outside of my card, just to give my card a little dimension. So if my card is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4¼ inches, I'm going to cut my paper to be 4 inches. Oops. Excuse me. I'm going to cut my paper to be 4 inches. Oh, I forgot to measure the other side. I think it's by 5 inches because this is about 5½ So 4¼ by 5½. So I'm going to do 4 inches by 5¼ So I'm going to 5 1/4. So now I would put this in the center. And then I can put that right on the middle of a card. And I have this really cute card ready to go. I just have to find my tape. So all I have to do is put this on, and it leaves a little bit of white all around the edges. I can put on my saying, hello fall. Now, because the cream color is so close to the yellow, I'm not really loving it. Take your marker. This is a really cool trick to do when you don't want to get out more paper. I don't have brown in front of me that I can use. I would just take a marker. This is a trick. I even do this on my scrapbook pages. If you use the fat end of your marker and just go around the edges of something, it almost looks like that piece of paper was matted. So I'm just taking my marker and tracing around the edge of that matte strip that I just put on the paper on this card. And I am just using my marker to go around the edge of that mat. And then it's going to look like my mat is actually framed with a piece of brown paper. And I didn't even have to use up any of the paper or dig out a piece of brown that was going to work perfect. So I just used my marker, and look at that. It looks like that mat was actually framed with another piece of paper, and all it is using my marker around the edge of the mat. So super easy idea for a mat. Now, with this particular card class, you guys are going to come up with all different cards, which is going to be really super fun. Let me go back to the one that I cut. Where did I put it? So I took this piece. I have that little piece. It's about 1 inch from the edge of the fold, just flapping away there because I cut off that piece of white paper. Cut it off, and where did I put it? Here it is. So this I cut off the front. It was just a 3-inch strip. I cut off the front. What I'm going to do is plan to adhere it down this way. So I'm going to measure my card, and everybody should be about the same if we did the same cards, but just in case it's not, measure your card across. So my card is 4¼ inches in width. So I want to cut this to be 4¼ inches, 4¼ So I have this perfect rectangle that's going to fit right on here. Now I'm just going to use a repositional tape so that you can kind of see where it's going to go. I'm going to put that right in the middle. And so I adhere it right onto there, and then it's going to look like this. But I want to decorate it because if I just send a card with paper on there, it'll look pretty, but I want to make sure it has something perfect. So when I was doing this card, I found the perfect saying in this Croptoberfest mat pack, which is part of your bundle, and I want it to be that shape. So the reason I didn't tape this on permanently was I want that shape. So what I'm going to do is go through my mats and find one of these that has the perfect shape. Now I did this one already, the Autumn Traditions, and I can just trace it and cut it or use my trimmer to gut out the center to go onto that card. But because I already did this one and you can see it here, I'm going to use this wooden one with a saying so you have an idea of what it's going to look like. I'm going to just put it down and kind of have an idea exactly where I want it to be. And then all I'm going to do is kind of draw a pencil line so I have an idea exactly where I want to cut it. So it's going to be centered in this rectangle. So now I know with those pencil lines exactly where to, making a mess here, exactly where to put my trimmer blades down on this. And how am I going to know where to cut on those pencil lines? Again, I'm going to pull out those little whisker lines. It's a little plastic clip that slides back and forth. It's got a little whisker line on it. They're on both sides of the trimmer. I have one down here as well. And I can move that whisker line back and forth and make sure it's right within that pencil line so that I'm cutting in the perfect place. And I can watch that white line on my blade housing where when I press the blade down, it's going to start cutting right on that white line. So I know that I can put that white line right at the one edge of the line so that I know I'm cutting right in the center of that pencil line that I drew in. So I'm going to put this at the pencil line and go across to the other pencil line. And actually, it's so close to the edge, I'm just going to rip it off. And again, I'm going to make sure that that whisker line is right outside where I want to cut. And I'm going to turn it one more time and make sure I'm right on that pencil line. Okay. Now my piece is cut out exactly the size I want it to be cut out because I traced this piece of paper. I can tape this down onto my paper and it should be pretty darn close to the size of the paper. And then I can put some tape on the back. And I'm going to put this down on my piece. And I must have traced it a little off. So I do have a little bit of weight on one edge. Just take it in. It is not going to matter that it is a little bit smaller than you originally intended. Okay, so I have this really cute saying, and now I know that could go right on my card. Now, again, it looks pretty. It's a great idea, but if you add the other color behind it, behind that line, onto this 1 inch strip, that's just going to make it pop out a little bit more. So what I want to do is come up with a color right on the on this 1 inch strip. So I can go to my paper and cut it out of my paper, or I can find a piece of um, a mat that's going to match perfect. So this color for the mat matches perfectly to the outside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 1 inch strip because this is about 1 inch. It's about 1.25 inches. But I'm going to leave a little weight on the edges, so that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut 1 inch off the edge of this mat for that 1 inch. That's going to adhere perfectly in the center there. But what I want to do is I see this 1 inch strip is not long enough. So because this wooden paper is going to go over the top of it, all I'm going to do is cut this in half. I'm going to take that wooden strip off again. That's why I used repositional, so I can take it off and put it on. I'm going to tape the back of this 1 inch strip. I'm going to leave a little white edge around the outside. And then I'm going to tape the bottom piece on. And it's okay that there's a hole in the middle of this 1 inch strip because this is going to cover that. Now I'm going to make sure I put some regular tape on here because I want it to stay on and not be pulled off easily by whoever I'm sending the card to. I'm also going to put a little tape along here so it really stays on well. I'm going to adhere it right to, see a little tape sticking out. I'm going to adhere it right to the card, and nobody's going to know that that strip underneath doesn't go all the way through. So it's looking better and better as I add a little bit more to it. I think it also needs a little color behind it. So I can certainly do like the yellow. If I did the yellow in front of it, I can see, oh, that would look good. Or do I want to do another color, maybe tan or maybe gold? But I want to do something on the inside that's going to be the right color. I can do some more of the wood, but then the wood is not going to show with the wood on top. So you kind of want to come up with a color that's going to work best. What do I have in mats? I can look at mats, or I can turn around and do some of my colors from my paper packs. Do orange. Not sure I love orange behind it. So the idea is just really using your mats to create some pretty cool pictures, sayings. I think I'm going to use the yellow. So now it's your turn to create. I'm going to do 4 inches. Five and a quarter. I'm just going to tape this to the inside. So now you're starting to see my different cards that I created just using some different mats. And all I did was pull out mats that I liked the saying or the picture and just cut them up and made them into cards.